Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donna Bond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donna Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's so wonderful to have you here. Welcome back to rainy Costa Rica. Today on Spiritual Ambition, we are undoing uncomfortable. We're going to reframe discomfort as a divine messenger for growth. And I have a very, very special guest. Jolene Dixon is joining us from Nashville, Tennessee. And I cannot wait to share with all of you about Jolene. And she's an expert on moving herself through discomfort and making uncomfortable accessible for her dreams. So, today we're going to talk about how discomfort is really an inner indicator of that spiritual compass, sort of. When our ego puts up a fight, we know behind all great resistance, transformation is awaiting us. These are our invitations to the limitations that we have in our consciousness, that our spiritual nature is wanting to break through and dissolve around us so we can step into being a fuller, freer, more expanded expression of who we have come here to be in this life. When we stop evolving, part of us actually dies. And I can't wait for you to hear Jolene's story about where she was headed before she decided to push through so much discomfort that she has had. That has led her into a really beautiful space of creation on many, many levels. Jolene is a musical artist and will be joining us today from Nashville. So I think the most important thing that I can say about breaking through discomfort before we're going to welcome Jolene and we're going to call in the light here is this is how we're bringing forward our service to others in the world. And we don't often think about the thing that we're here to do in life is really to be of greater service to humanity. Like, what is my contribution? What are my special gifts that are designed to be shared with humanity? They are hidden behind our discomfort. I promise you. And I could talk on and on about myself as far as this subject goes, but I'm not going to, because Jolene's story is so incredible that I can't wait for you to hear it. So I hope that you'll stick around with us today, because we're going to recognize that the comfort cage that we usually trap ourselves in is really an invisible architecture of inherited patterns and conditioning that is designed to be taken apart. So I don't want to call in the light without Jolene. So we're going to welcome her in right now, and then we're going to do a little tune in. So coming in from Nashville, Tennessee, I want to welcome Jolene Dixon.
Hello.
Hello, I want to hug you.
I know.
Mwah.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for being here. I love that you are with us today, Jolene.
Yes.
What we do on this show, the very first thing is I ask everybody to close their eyes. Yeah, so let's do it. Let's just take a nice deep breath in and just letting that go. All of the energy that is pumping through me right now, I just want to ground it. As a matter of fact, let's just do a grounding exercise right now. Everyone just imagine that you have a beautiful cord coming out of your root chakra that's going down through the chair, through your building, down into the earth, all the way into the belly of our great mother. And you're visualizing that grounding cord wrapping itself around a huge crystal that's in the center of the earth. And that's just providing you with the stability and the support that you need to be anchored in your sovereignty, in your loving heart, in your compassion, so that no matter what is happening with the tornado around you, you are centered and peaceful and present. Just taking a nice deep inhalation, everyone. And just letting that go. Infinite universe, we call ourselves forward into your loving. We ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, or imbalance be lifted and transmuted at this time, carried to the highest realms of light and sound, and dispersed back into the nothingness. Into this space, we recognize our gifts. We recognize peace and grace. We recognize creativity, playfulness, fun, aliveness, joyful expression. We acknowledge and we welcome the divine beings of light who are working with each one of us individually and collectively, keeping in mind each of our unique destinies and respective paths. We call forward these beautiful divine beings and we ask for your assistance and support in bringing forward healing, revelation, inspiration, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here, or if they're listening or watching the recording later, for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work, for the opportunity to come together and open our hearts, for the opportunity to celebrate the gifts of each other, for this and more. We say thank you. So be it. Hello, welcome everyone. You're just tuning in. All right.
Hi, everyone.
Dean, yeah, say hello.
Hi.
So one of the first things that we do here in Spiritual Ambition is we have what's called our sacred circle of light. And every episode, our community comes together and we intentionally send healing energy and divine love around the globe to anybody who might need it. So Jolene, perhaps you know somebody who might be struggling with health challenges or facing a difficult decision in their life or simply needs extra support right now. We, this community, we believe in the power of our loving collective intention to uplift and strengthen those that we care about. And when we send them our intention for upliftment and love and healing and good juju, they receive it on some level. So I have a few names that have been submitted for people who would like to receive this sacred light. But if there's anybody that you would like to just speak their first name into our space, and we will include them as recipients of this beautiful divine sacred light today.
Sure, Rachel.
Yeah. All right. We're also sending the light to David, Noel, Nicole, Bob, Michael, Joe, Joel, Lucy, Mary, Eleanor, Yolanda, and Lori. Mike, Eric, Brian, Chris, another David, another Mike. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Well, Jolene, I guess I should say a little bit about your bio, right? Jolene
Sure.
is about authentically Nashville as you can get. She was named after the song Jolene, and she comes from a rich musical background growing up in Franklin, Tennessee. Her dad, a celebrated sound engineer and songwriter, Donovan Cowart. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's it.
Donovan Cowart worked back in the day with Dolly Parton. Woo! I hope my friend Kylie is watching this show today because she's a big Dolly Parton fan.
That's great. Yeah. I was going to be Wendy, but.
Really?
Yeah.
So is there like Wendy. A whole story there?
Well, I was going to be Wendy, and then my dad started working with a bunch of country musicians and heard the song Jolene, and it just changed his trajectory. He was like, yeah, no, this is 100% what I want to do with my life. And then it went from Wendy to Jolene. And I'm glad for it.
Well, I know you grew up, you call yourself a studio mouse from the time that you were born, and you soaked in all of the amazing influences of Johnny and Emmylou and Willie. And, you know, I'm like so not musical. I'm super lame when it comes to music. Like, I don't know names and musicians, and it just wasn't my thing. My husband, like, he can like do all the name dropping, but I'm not good at it.
Well, that's okay. Different worlds.
Well, Jolene, I want to welcome you because today we are undoing uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, you know, before we get into your story a little bit, as I think about undoing uncomfortable, one of the things that I find most frequently with so many of my clients and so many of the women that I work with is nobody likes uncomfortable, right? Nobody likes signing up for discomfort. Nobody's like running down the line saying, oh yeah, give me some more discomfort. Like, can I have more uncomfortableness? Like, I want it to be as uncomfortable as possible. Nobody's saying that. However, I know for a fact that so many, especially we women, can do uncomfortable because we're women.
Mm-hmm. That
For
is
that
true.
mere fact alone, we can do uncomfortable. And so I just, the only message that I want to send about this today is for everybody to stop buying into the lie that we can't do uncomfortable, because we can. And as we undo uncomfort able, we are able to be uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is the resistance that we need to move ourselves through if we're going to do anything new, if we're going to reach our dreams, if we're going to take a risk, if we're going to color outside the lines, if we're going to cross over the border of what it is that is familiar to us.
Right.
It's going to require us to be a little uncomfortable.
Definitely.
So just a quick storytelling, right? You sat in my office in California so many years ago. I don't even know how many years ago it was.
It was 2016 that I left the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was 2014 that I left the Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
Our original connection.
Right. So yeah, it was later that year that I reached out to you.
And you sat in my office, I remember very specifically, and you gave me 101,000 reasons why you loved music. Music was in your blood. It was in your bones. It was in your heart. It was in your space. Like you grew up in an environment of music, but you couldn't have a life in music. You couldn't do music.
Wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You remember that?
I do vividly.
Yeah. And, you had a different life then. You had a different life when you worked for the Ritz-Carlton. We all had a different life when we worked for the Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
Maybe some of those Ritz-Carlton people are tuning in there today.
All right.
That would be fun, right?
I see some familiar faces or names.
Yeah, I do too. Suri Sawyer, Jennifer Rose. Hello in the house. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
So, Jolene.
Yes.
We inherit patterns
right.
from our upbringing and from our family. And they form what's called this comfort cage, which is this invisible architecture that we all have, right? Like we can't get away from having it.
Right.
What inherited patterns did you take on that formed your comfort cage despite your rich musical heritage, or maybe because of your rich musical heritage, that at the time had you believing that a life in music wasn't possible for you?
Right. Man. It's so interesting because it is both. It is because of and in spite of. Both of my parents are songwriters, and I don't think that either one of them made it to a pinnacle of a career that they are like, it's not that they're not proud of, but they both, I think, wish that there had been more success. And growing up with that as the reason for your parents' unhappiness was a real good reason for me not to want to do it. And I really, truly believed that that if I did music, I would be unhappy and financially destitute and living on food stamps and mad at the world and being jealous of everyone else around me that was getting to do what I wasn't good enough to do. And I also, what I just think is so funny is that was 2016 that I started with you. And gosh, so how old was I? 20, I can't even do math. I don't know. I was, mid 30s or early 30s maybe. Anyway, and like my biggest thing was that I was too old. Like I remember that being like one of the things that I told you right out the gate was well, no, I can't do it now. Like now my time has passed. And I think a lot of that has changed because I think the industry has changed a little bit in that realm, a little bit more progressive, but a lot of that is realizing that there's no time limit on any of this and that you can redo as many times as you need to, as many times as you want to, as many times as you're called to keep moving on. So I think watching my parents, in the music business sort of kept me out of it for a very, very long time. So I had to unlearn that music meant sadness.
Yeah. And,
Really.
just as you say it, Jolene, like I feel it. Like
Yeah.
I can feel the tenderness around it. I can feel like the lineage of it.
Right.
And what I'm also aware of in this moment is like you have chosen to heal this.
Right.
Like you have chosen to rewrite the story in a different way.
Yeah.
Does that feel accurate?
It does. And I think the maybe another part of that question is the going going beyond what your parents were able to do, and not really they don't have a playbook for what it looks like past a certain point. So for me to have to also move past them as guiders almost, like I've reached a point now where it's like, okay, I gotta keep going. And, and for me right now, that actually means leaving Tennessee and leaving them geographically to get a little bit of distance from that. From that sort of stagnation that is around that. So, yeah.
Do you want to say any more about that?
I think
in the spirit of getting uncomfortable, in the spirit of being vulnerable and honest.
Sure. About getting away from my family part.
Was that why you're leaving Tennessee?
Oh, it's a part of it. I definitely think space is good for me. And another, I was born in and lived my first 6 months of life in Topanga Canyon, and and then my parents both were okay. We got to move to Nashville. We're doing the whole they worked for the whole Laurel Canyon scene back in the day, and then there was sort of this whole country music migration to Nashville, and Rodney Crowell and Emmylou Harris and all of these cats were all moving to Nashville, and so my parents were like, "Yep, let's go." So it was so funny growing up. I would always tell people, "Oh no, I'm from California," No, I wasn't really from California, but I've always had a strong draw to California. My whole mom's side of the family. My mom's from Pasadena. My grandmother, who I adored, my aunt, who I adore, and just recently lost, which is also a very heavy thing. She was in the original Broadway cast of Grease, so she was another just influence in my life of like just being on stage is a very comfortable place for me, to be honest, and to recognize that and to accept that was the uncomfortable part.
Say more about that, because this leads me right into my next question, right?
Oh,
so how did you recognize discomfort as a divine messenger rather than just fear? And like, to hear you say standing on stage is not scary for you, right? Because for me, that makes me quake in my boots.
Right.
For most people, I think it probably makes us quake in our boots, but that wasn't it for you, right? So your discomfort was in another place. So tell us about that.
Definitely. I don't know if this rings true for some people. I'm reading this very interesting book called The Existential Kink. Have you heard of that book?
Know it well.
Excellent. So there's a very interesting part of me where I'm like, ooh, something's uncomfortable. Ooh, let's go. And I don't know if that's a trauma response where I'm like, yeah, that feels normal. This uncomfortability, this sort of chaos. So I'm sort of drawn to it, but I think I've been through enough of it at this point where I do recognize like, oh, cool. All right, we're about to get into like a real big shift, aren't we? Like, all right, like, this move back to California has been incredibly emotionally shaking, and I'm leaving my family. All of my siblings are all having kids, and that is like heartbreaking.
You're an auntie now.
I'm an auntie, So that's really hard to leave. But at the same time, I look at my aunt, who is such a great influence on me, and she just lived her best life. And that's how I was able to witness that. So I have to keep doing that for my nieces and nephews instead of staying here and feeling like, nope, I've reached my limits. I got to go. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got lost somewhere in there. Where was I, Donna, do you think?
So we were talking about discomfort as the divine messenger. And like, when did you recognize that? And as you're tuning in to like where the discomfort is for you.
Right. Truly, honestly, the most vulnerable answer that I can give you is that I was so terrified that if I had success in the music business, that my parents would be sad.
I feel that. Oof.
That they'd be really brokenhearted. That I would hurt their feelings.
Yeah. let's just be with that for a minute, right? Like, let's just be with that for a minute. Because Jolene, it's so true for so many people. And we don't realize that, right? We don't realize that going past where our parents were feels like a betrayal,
Right.
in a weird, existential, kinky kind of way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So how did you move yourself through that?
Well, to be honest, I still sort of am. And I think the thing that I had to really reconcile was oh gosh.
It's okay. Those tears are welcome here. You know why? Because this is a safe space, and that's why I wanted you to be here to call in the light. And your willingness to share and to be vulnerable about this is so powerful for so many people, Jolene. And I knew that you were the one to help open this space for this show because of who you are.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
There's another great book called Let Them.
Yes.
And I think that was the thing that I had to really reconcile, was that I had to let the people that were going to be bummed by my success be bummed, or let the people that weren't going to have my ultimate good at heart, let them go. Like, not be worried about if I'm doing the absolute best thing that I can do for me and for my soul, and the only way that I can seem to make sense of this world is through music. And like, it's just gotten to a point where I can't not do it anymore.
Yes. Yeah. And can I challenge you with something?
Sure. Come on.
Is there really anyone who is bummed by your success? Truly.
I mean, I think maybe.
All right. If that's real for you, I totally accept it. I totally get it. Could it be, though, that they're working through their own stuff?
Yeah, could be.
And that maybe you're the mirror for what they want.
Right.
Yeah, which is hard, right? When we get into envy or jealousy or, and when we're in that, I had a stint of that was really intense for me. And what's happening when we're in that is we're overlooking our own gifts. We're overlooking our unique expression, right? And we're like sort of saying, that person's got it all. That person's all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for all y'all's comments. I'm reading them as they're coming through, and just want to say thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
Another part of that sort of jealousy and competition thing is it's a very Nashville thing. It's not necessarily even, it is for me, some specific people, but it's just a very, very sort of Nashville way of going about art. And what I've sort of realized over the past 5 years is that Nashville ain't the only place where you can make music,
Ooh.
And I really needed to come home to learn that and figure that out.
Ooh.
And to actually figure out that that I needed to move past where my parents had made it in the music business, you know.
Yeah.
And I needed to be here to do that. I think I needed to really
Yeah.
get those mirrors like right up real close. I mean, I live literally right next door to one of my sisters. So I can't get much closer to my family than I am right now. So
What sort of healing has happened inside of you as you've been willing to go back to your roots, go back home, go back into what felt like the most terrifying paralysis, right? To possibly surpass and to actually surpass where your parents were with their music career, to drop yourself into the middle of all the family dynamics, right? Of all the family dynamics. What sort of healing has happened for you as a result of that?
Just so much beyond measure. It has been intense. It's been an intense 5 years. And really recognizing the effects of mental health and ignoring it and sort of seeing that keep play out is really heartbreaking. And it was a real big lesson in not being able to rescue the people that I want to rescue. And that people have to take care of themselves, and I can't force healing on anyone, and that everyone's going to have to heal themselves. And I can, the best, like I said, the best that I can do for my family is to keep healing myself. And also just to realize how much, I think it was very good for me to come back and sort of see how much growth I had done already. Yes. It was a really, really good reminder of like, wow, look how far you've come.
Yeah. I acknowledge you, Jolene. I acknowledge you. As I experience you, you are so solid. You're so grounded. You're so anchored in who you are, right? Like in the truth of you. And you're just gently and quietly emanating this beautiful presence that you are. Yeah.
Oh, I think another big thing that I haven't even mentioned yet, because it seems such a strange thing, but I quit drinking.
I was just about to ask you.
That was sort of a big thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a really big thing.
It is a really big thing.
I think it's a hot trend right now. Like,
it is.
I know a lot of people who are just like, done.
We're done. It's poison, you know. And I just really, again, I had to come home and like see all of the people that were still drinking as heavily as I was, and to see that they hadn't eased up at all. And like, we're still going. Okay. And to sort of see that play out right in front of my eyes, and to put myself just in dog poop situations where it was like, all right, you're really gonna not make it, you know? And it's funny because I have a song that's called Sober, and I wrote it in the middle of a time where I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot. And I met this woman who was this brilliant songwriter, and she wasn't a drinker. And she was back in the green room hanging out, not chugging beers in the green. And I was just like, how do you do that? Like, how are you in this social situation and in this like backstage thing? And the whole chorus of the song is, what's it like being sober? And I wrote that, 8 years ago. And now it's like so much more poignant to me, because I'm like, oh gosh, it's so much better. I get it. I can see why people quit drinking and never go back. It's just like, wow, which is funny, because that's why it doesn't come to my mind as like something that I need to talk about as like this thing that I really had to let go, because I'm so over it that it doesn't even exist in my world anymore.
How long has it been now?
It's been, oh gosh, it'll be 2 years in November. So coming up on a year and a half, I guess, ish.
Amazing.
And it's great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just made everything so much more clear, you know.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So what specific muscles, both human muscles and I'm going to say divine muscles, those
Yes.
spiritual muscles, did you have to call forward to be able to move past the many limitations that had mired you in believing that you couldn't have a career in music?
Excuse me. One of the things I had to really start leaning into was my trust in myself, and trusting that I was making art and that I was doing it because I feel that music is important and that art is so important, and that we connect on a different plane when we communicate that way. And growing up in Nashville, what did I say? Sorry, remind me.
I connect on a different plane.
Right. I connect on a different plane. When I'm playing music, I really do. It's an out of body experience.
When you are making art.
Yeah, I do. And that, growing up in Nashville, like I said, and everything is very competitive, and everything is get a record deal, and how many cuts do you have, and all of this nonsense that I was sort of raised in. I really had to unlearn that and really learn that, no, the thing is the music. Who cares about how many followers I have? Who cares how many records I'm selling? I just really know that the money will come, and the money's here. It's here. I know it's going to be, it's just right here somewhere. But I just really had to let go of that. And trusting my intuition too, musically, knowing when something felt good as opposed to fitting phonetically or fitting a specific rhyme scheme. I really could notice a difference in my body when I would write a line that didn't make any sense to me. And and it was a long time for me to recognize what that feeling was and where it was pointing. But I've really gotten good at when I sit and I write and it's flowing and then there's just kind of like a and I'll play through it and every time I go back it's just a little and I'm like, all right, like that's where editing comes in and that's where I start. And so I've worked on that, a lot of my musicality and songwriting has gotten so much better just by practice and just by being in it and really serving the song as best I can instead of serving what I think I learned in school is the best way to make a hit song or what I've learned and, like
serving the song
right
in the best way I can.
Absolutely. Right.
I just love what you're sharing, Jolene. And this is just such a beautiful message to everybody who's listening that we have more faculties than just these minds, right? Like what I heard you say is like you were feeling your way through the music, right? You could feel the kinks or the bubbles or the how many of us have that ability, right? I have it. Boy, do I have it. Sometimes to a fault.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. But to be able to hone that as a divine gift.
Right.
As a sacred skill for navigation in life. Right? Like these are muscles.
Right.
These are muscles. Yeah. Oh, I feel my crown on fire right now.
Yeah. But it's true that bleeds into other aspects. It's now I feel that feeling and I know that it's like even outside in relationships. It's like when I'm going to work with somebody, if I have a new drummer I'm working with and we're going back and forth, and then there's just that little it's like the same feeling I get when there's a line wrong in a song. And you know, when I get those, it's interesting now, especially also now that I think I used to get those feelings on anything, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't like that feeling." Like, let's just pour a drink and get rid of that.
You are reading my mind right now, girl. Like literally, Jolene, this is what I was just about to like connect the dots on. And for so many people who are drowning their feelings in alcohol because they don't understand how to navigate these feelings and what it is they're navigating. And sometimes the things that we're navigating don't belong to us. Right? Like sometimes they belong to the guy in the grocery store and you just walked through their shit and you took it home with you.
Right.
And so, right?
Right.
Wow. Like this is just such a wake up call, like for people to hear this and to recognize this. And I just love hearing your tactile understanding of this because you are so highly sensitive. You've always been highly sensitive. I think this is what led to some of the drinking.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming sometimes, you know?
Yes.
And you know, I was just talking to another friend of mine, another songwriter, and we're actually going to write a song about how hard it is to be sober also. And just how hard it is, especially as musicians, where you go into green rooms and they're literally handing you bottles of alcohol. I mean, and it's fun. It's super fun to sit in the green room, you know, and hang out with a bunch of musicians, and I'll tie a little buzz on before you hit the stage. I mean, my God, but it's not productive. And it's like, I would have these nights and have these really rad jam sessions and then not remember a single person's name. You know, and it was like, that was a waste. That was an absolute waste, you know?
I'm hearing a hashtag for you, sober jam. Hashtag sober jam.
Right.
Right? Like, you know, part of my intention with this show is really helping people get clear on how they want to shape the world that we want to live in. And so when I hear you say things like this and know that you're going to be in the music business, like for the rest of the time that you're going to be on the planet.
Right.
And you get to design it the way that you want to create it around you. And so I am just super inspired to hear this and learn about this from you because it makes so much sense. And my sense is like that it's super resonant to a lot of people who are listening.
Oh, I hope so. It's been, and you know, the thing I think too is that when I was in the green rooms and I was partying and having these nights, it felt like there's no way I'll be able to do this without alcohol. I mean, that's really where I thought like I can't not drink and go to shows. That's insane. And the thing is, it's so much easier. It really truly is. And if anyone is feeling like that same thing, it not only is it easier, but it gets easier and easier. And one thing I was thinking about today, I don't know why this feels like something I need to share, but just this one thought that I kept popping up was one of my biggest fears was that people were just going to question me about it, you know, and ask me like, oh, what's your what happened, you know, like, or offer me a drink. And the thing is, not many people are offering you drinks. Like the worst case scenarios that you're thinking are happening, they just don't happen that often. And the ones that do kind of lean into you and are kind of like, wow, what really, really happened? Like, that's because they're struggling themselves. And they really in my experience, the ones that have really drilled me about it have been really on the edge of knowing that it's time for them to let go of it too. And I'll be honest, I'm not a 12-stepper. That was not the vibe for me. I grew up, you know, in organized religion. And so that scared the absolute shit out of me. I was like, I'm not doing that at all.
Have you read Soulbriety?
No.
Oh gosh, you know, I don't know who the author is. If anybody knows, Soulbriety, based on a true story, really compelling, really interesting. The big moral of the story is, this gal found soul.
Right.
She found her essence
Right.
and kept coming back to that. And she had like a really big celebrity lifestyle and was sort of running and gunning with the rich and famous. And yeah, fascinating book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check that out. Forgive me for not knowing the author. And author, whoever you are, Soulbriety, forgive me for not being able to quote your name right now.
I can't remember the name of the one that I love. It was called The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober, was the one that I read right as I was as I was letting go of alcohol. But yeah, it definitely worked for me.
One more question for you, and then we're going to transition into the celebration of love's alchemy. But, for anyone out there, Jolene, who has a dream in their heart, who, for me, sharing, talking, speaking, writing about spirituality, it wasn't something that I thought I'd like to do. It was something that I had to do.
Right.
Like, I have to sing this song, and, great metaphor today. I have to sing this song. And like, if you want to sing it with me, great. If you don't, that's fine. Like, I'm going to sing it by myself because I have to sing it. So for those people out there that have that, right? Because you had that.
I did.
Yeah. And what guidance can you share about undoing what's uncomfortable in service to our dream?
I think the biggest thing that helped me was realizing that it wouldn't be as big of a part of my heart as it was if it wasn't meant for me. If I wasn't meant to be pursuing music, I wouldn't have this capacity for music in my heart that I do. And I feel like that's the same with you in spirituality, right? Like it was there, and you couldn't, if it's there for a reason. It's there for a really, really good reason. And ignoring it is just going to cause contempt and resentment and anger and jealousy.
And misalignment and imbalance and dis-ease and all the things.
I mean, and physically, like I don't know if you remember how unhealthy I was, Donna, like at the Ritz-Carlton when I was deep and just like, I've let go of any hope of any sort of dream whatsoever, and I'm going to lean into the corporate ladder sort of thing. I mean, I was
Me
physically unhealthy,
Me too.
Right. So
we can go back and look at pictures of both of us, and it's pretty evident.
It's wild. It's wild. So I just think that if it's there, keep listening to it. And then no, it is scary. It's terrifying. But that's just because it's powerful.
And what is your number one guidance on how to dissolve discomfort?
Practice. You really have to pretend like you believe it for a minute until you do.
I love
and
that.
I think you have to keep reminding yourself that, like I said, if it's there, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't meant to do something.
Yeah. Oh. Well, we have a very special experience for our viewers today. We are going to do the celebration of love's alchemy. This is our gentle pause to recognize the extraordinary magic woven through our everyday lives. And every episode, we take just a moment of loving celebration for something that might seem ordinary or contrary at first glance, but it holds within it a spark of brilliance as we celebrate and remind ourselves why we chose to take a human body and come here to planet Earth. From the sweetness of a juicy orange to the blessing of an emotional trigger, we turn our attention to the less obvious causes for celebration, the little things in life that we might take for granted. Through loving appreciation and gratitude, we uplift ourselves and our vibration. with the power of love, sending ripples of good juju out and across the planet. As alchemists of upliftment, we're turning the seemingly mundane into marvels of magnificence as we see the whole human experience as the alchemy of our wisdom. Today, we are celebrating the voice. We are celebrating the voice. And, you know, as I have been on a path of freeing my own voice, I have learned so many incredible things about the voice. It's as unique as a fingerprint. Our energetics are literally encoded in our voice. And so I just want to give you a shout out on the alcohol thing one more time, because now, Jolene, what you're transmitting as you share your voice is clarity and connection and upliftment. And you are now literally infusing that into the recipients, the ears, the hearts, the minds, the energetics of the people who are receiving you. So I just want to give you another benefit that maybe you haven't thought of before, right? Because our energetics are literally riding on our voice. So our voice is one of the most complex instruments in our body. It utilizes more than 100 muscles in our chest, our neck, our jaw, our tongue, and our lips that are all working in perfect coordination to create sound. There is a sonic imprint. Your voice carries these subtle, emotional pieces of information that listeners unconsciously process. Studies actually show how we can detect emotions like joy and fear and sadness with remarkable accuracy that are all coming through vocal tones. So Jolene is going to share her voice with all of us today with her latest co-written with Grammy Award winner, little tongue twister.
All good.
Melody Walker. The song is called Bloom, and it's about how we are all eternally blooming, which is so true and so beautiful. I am going to stop talking. We're going to give you the stage. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And thank y'all so much. This is so wonderful. I hope this sound is going to work. Let me know if this is, hopefully this will work. Well, I knew heaven when I was 5. In this pleasure, so free and so alive. I was living when the hammer fell. This new feeling, I should be ashamed to be myself. Is that the day that I became so uncomfortable in my skin? They told me that my soul was untouchable without him. Is it a sin to get to heaven too soon? Does a flower need permission just to bloom? Out of the garden where all this shit started, I'm digging, making some room to bloom. Room to bloom.
Well, I took a lover at 25. He couldn't please me no matter how he tried. Then at 37, I forgave my past. Well, I lost religion, but I found God at last. 'Cause they plucked all my petals, then sold them right back to me. Always edging toward heaven, kept somewhere just out of reach. Oh, is it a sin to get to heaven too soon? Does a flower need permission just to bloom? Out of the garden where all this shit started, I'm digging, making some room. I pray when the day comes for my final breath, I'll fly away free of any fear of death. Well, I don't know where we go or what any of all this means. If anything, dust to dust, womb to tomb. Someday soon, maybe I'll be a maple tree. Right back to the garden where all this shit started. I'm digging, still finding room to bloom.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Jolene Dixon, ladies and gentlemen, you can learn more about Jolene at jolenedixon.com. I also am so happy to share that Jolene has recorded 3 record albums. Count them. 1, 2, 3 record albums since that conversation that we had in San Clemente back in 2016. And she is on fire, allowing her soul to lead. And I have watched you put your ego aside again and again to follow the lead of your higher self. And it's beautiful and it's stunning. And your music is soulful and uplifting. And I am deeply, deeply grateful to have you here with us today, sharing about undoing uncomfortable and what it looks like on the other side. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together, to open our hearts, to uplift ourselves, to receive the blessing of Jolene Dixon's voice and her music wafting through the air and through the energetics, touching us, uplifting us. We are closing our space today with love, in love, for love, by love, as love. Thank you for being here. You're watching Spiritual Ambition.